All right, we're back here. I'm joined by Julian Knab, and we're moving through our Legacy event. 3 rounds in the books, 4 left in the Swiss before the top 8, which is all getting played out today. Julian showing us a fire Pokemon card or something like that. I'm not really sure. But
I have no idea what it is.
Okay. Well, before we get into how fire Pokemon relate to this broadcast, we were talking about how, or I was talking last round, the round before, how we have our NRG Series, which is really kicking off starting next month, as opposed to these just singleton events we've been having. And these events are going to be pretty good. And so what I'm going to tell you right now, before we unveil the full details later on before the top 8 starts, is that during our regular events starting next month, which is the next one is September 13th, we're playing Legacy again. In that event and all the rest of the events for the year, the entire top 8 is going to qualify for the Arena Qualifier Weekend. So if you are paying attention and following along with that, what that is it's an event every couple months played on Arena, and it's a 2-day event, and the players that are able to accumulate, I believe, 7 wins on day 2 qualify for the upcoming Pro Tour. And so it's sort of equivalent to kind of the RPTQ system that used to exist. And so top 8 our events is now going to qualify you for that Arena Qualifier Weekend. So we think we're pretty happy with that, and hopefully you are too. There's going to be all kinds of great stuff in these events for us this year, and hopefully you'll join us, either playing or watching alongside us. In the meantime, we're ready for our deck list for round 4. So let's go ahead and see what we've got. We've got Brett Kroeger playing. Apparently, there was a shortage of good decks, and Brett got stuck with Elves. I don't know what you think about that, Julian.
Poor guy. Oh man, this is actually really interesting. This is playing 4 Allosaurus Shepherd. I'm actually really proud of not mixing up the card. Like, we talked about like playing 1 copy or 2 copy, maybe 3 copies. He goes all in. He's playing 4 copies. Trying to like look at this. This is like 20 lands, this is 16 lands. Wow. Like, Elves usually plays 20 lands. Oh, no, right. There's 2 Dryad Arbors, so this is 18 lands. Okay, so 18 lands and 2 Once Upon a Time. Oh, God, no, he's in for... Oh, my God. This is not what you want to play. Like, there's few decks that can actually outgrind Elves, and lands does outgrind Elves. Oh, now we're going back to Elves.
Sorry about our production little blip there. Owner Norman Cohen sitting in the booth today and doing his part to screw things up. So, yeah, like you were saying, we're a little shy on our normal mana allotment, but we do have 2 Once Upon Times, and a general list would have 0 copies of that, right? So we're replacing the slots, sort of?
With Shepherds and Once Upon a Times. So yeah. This is a total no-nonsense, super streamlined, straightforward list. This is going to give you one of the best chances to combo off early on, which is something you really need to do in the matchup. Like, your best plan in this kind of matchup is you go for the win on turn 2, which, like, Nettle Sentinel and Birchlow Rangers, they help you out a lot. Like, if you have a hand of land, Nettle Sentinel, Birchlow Rangers, Glimpse, there's a good chance you can get there on the second turn. The Allosaurus Shepherd's not going to do anything in this matchup. I mean, you can keep like 1 or 2 of them, but I would probably take them out altogether. But yeah, your chance of comboing off early is really good. You got 4 natural orders, which is such a big thing if you had Progenitors. We don't have Progenitors, okay? We can try to still win with Archon of Vader's Reach, but that's going to be so much harder. But yeah, those are the 2 games plans that you basically have. You either try to kill them really quickly with Glimpse, which is also why you sometimes don't even bring your Graveyard Hate if you're on the play, because you're saying, I'm just going to try to kill you really soon. And if you have, like, Punishing Fire, that's just going to be a one-shot thing. Like, you won't even have time to recur it.
Yeah,
and that's what we're doing in this matchup.
So let's go ahead and go back to the lands list, which you're talking about. Yeah, Punishing Fire is a big threat. And I haven't seen a lot of lands decks recently, but 1 copy of Punishing Fire is not what I expected to see. It's
not that rare. You can gamble for it, so you have access to it. Okay. But yeah, in the past we used to see 4 copies for sure.
Right. So we have 4 Abrupt Decays alongside the 1 Punishing Fire, and then we have the typical gamble you expect to see to search for life from the loam. And we have 2 Sylvan Libraries main deck, and then if you hadn't, like we talked about at the beginning of the show, how if there was some time periods where you could step away from Legacy for a few years, things didn't change that much. Well, we see here, Lands has changed somewhat in with the recent printings. We didn't get like a high profile, banger card like some decks did, but we did get Field of the Dead, which certainly allows another route to victory, and also to gumming up the ground that just didn't used to exist.
Yeah, Feel of the Dead is sweet if you play against the Snowco deck, because it gives you inevitability, because the Snowco decks can't interact with your lands.
Right. Probably not going to matter too much in this matchup.
True.
So we see here, looks like we're on Elves' perspective, and it looks like we are going second. So...
I don't hate it.
Okay.
I don't hate it. There's a world where you hardcast Krytov on the third turn if things work out correctly, because eventually your Senates can get a heritage to it. And if you have 2 Nettle Sentinels, then that's going to produce a ton of mana. So if you can find something like even just an extra land, eventually like a Cradle or a Violet Symbiote, because the Violet Symbiote allows you to produce even more mana, and then eventually you get the Krytov done. So if we're lucky, we can Krytov on the third turn, but there's a good chance that we can Krytov on the fourth turn if things go according to plan. A good thing for us is that the opponent doesn't have Glacial Chasm, which otherwise would prevent a lot of damage, but they do have Blast Zone. And Blast Zone is basically the engineered explosives on a land, and that can wreck us. But we gotta see, like, I usually say if lands has neither Mox Diamond or Exploration, then Elves is actually favored. But I mean, how often does that happen? That's 8 cards, and they also know that they need these cards in the matchup.
Okay, and we see the decision being made here. Lands kept 7, going first, and so you're my instinct now, with as an inexperienced Elves player or viewer, I would have expected the mulligan here, but you're making some solid points that this potentially could be a keep, and we have our Elves player taking their time thinking this through, so they're not certain either. Now, well, we'll see. We'll just let them play it out.
It's heavily going to depend on whether we can draw. Oh, God. Okay, so this is actually like a really good hand, except for the Shepherd. Well, we have the Cradle. Okay, I don't hate this. I would, of course, you send away your Shepherd there, but then I think I might actually go first and play a Shepherd instead of a Wild Symbiote, because then I can top deck Heritage Druid, play that, then get a Visionary on the second turn, tap everything for Wild Symbiote, and replay the Visionary. So that's how I would play the hand. So don't play the Symbiote, because it gives you an extra draw, if like a good top deck.
Sure. Okay, so we'll see how this plays out. Lands going first, and we'll see if we, you're talking about not wanting to see Exploration or a Mox Diamond. Do we have one? We do have a Mox. Do we at least not have both?
It's Loam. It's got to be Loam. Yeah. Okay, so nothing has happened yet. Like, it's actually worse for us if they keep up the mana, because that actually usually means Punishing Fire, which makes it so that it's going to be harder for us to actually top deck what we need, because that actually limits a couple of top decks. There's a world where we sometimes just like Natural Order for like a non-lethal Behemoth, and then just kill them on the next turn, because we know they don't have Glacial Chasm, which would otherwise save them. But now this is basically going to be the crucial turn. Like right now, and we dredged Loam, right? Okay. So them dredging Loam makes me think they don't have removal. Maybe they're going to try to go for a quick Dark Depth token, which is something with Elves you can sometimes raise. Gonna be rough though. Yeah. So looks like we can start to get rolling next turn with Elves, but even then, it's not going to be an explosive. Really, like you're saying, you're looking at turn 3 is where hopefully some action happens. And hopefully all our creatures are still alive at that point. They fetched there, which makes... Well, the thing is, they played a land and fetched there, and now they loamed. So this way, they maximize the value they get if they loam. On the other hand, they didn't get the Thespian Station to play this turn. So if they want to make the token, it's going to be one more turn. Yeah. Which makes me think this is not part of their plan in the first place. So they want to play a little bit of a longer game. Okay, the gamble. I wonder what that's going to be. That could be like... This could also be a reason why you would fetch first, so you could gamble and have a higher likelihood of retaining the card. And I heard your intake of breath there. You're excited by that draw. Yeah, that's basically what I wanted to draw. That's basically why I wanted to play the Allosaurus Shepherd on the first turn, because now we can get this one out. We can, like, there's a world where you say, you know what, I'm actually not going to use my Cradle. I'm not sure. Like, if they get Tabernacle, like the gamble kind of makes me feel maybe they got Tabernacle. I don't think they would have gambled for crop rotation there. So there's also a world where you just play the land and the Allosaurus Shepherd and then use that to get the Visionary down. But I very much like every time you're up in a bad matchup and like not a great position, I really appreciate the power play, and this is like getting the Cradle into play and just like drawing as many things. There's even a world where you just win next turn with Allosaurus Shepherd. I think that's actually what we're basically saying, we got this next turn, come at me. Whoa, oh, by the way, we should definitely bounce the Visionary and replay it though.
Yeah, okay, so we cost ourselves a free card there. I think we benefited nothing, I think, by not doing that, so that's too bad. We are certainly threatening a lot here, as actually we're threatening lethal damage right now from the Shepherd, right? Because does it turn all our creatures into, is it 5/5s?
And all your elves into 5/5, so the symbiote stays the 1/1s.
Okay. Okay, well, we still have 5 creatures, so that'll do it. Can we bring up Allosaurus Shepherd? Not everyone may know what that card is. I certainly didn't remember it exactly. So Allosaurus Shepherd, my turn to screw it up, from Jumpstart, I believe. The relevant text at this point, 6 mana. Until end of turn, each elf creature you control has base power and toughness 5. 5 becomes a dinosaur, in addition to an elf. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 elves plus a symbiote. That would be an attack for 21 damage. And then Cradle does give us the required 6 mana. This may have gotten out of hand faster than the Lands player expected.
Yeah, and I think we're almost winning even if they have Wasteland, because then we can attack for 5, 10, 15, 16, which might even be good enough. We're going to see. Like, the opponent is not immediately jumping to doing anything right now, so that makes me feel good, right? So they don't have, like, the blowout play here very much right now is Blast Zone, especially since they have Life from the Loam left, so they can, like, do that over and over again. So it looks like they don't have Blast Zone. It looks like they don't have Tabernacle, even though I think we are actually almost beating, like, we're close to beating Tabernacle. And there's few things like Wasteland plus, no, even Punishing Fire doesn't do it because you can bounce the Heritage to it. There's Tabernacle. Okay, so we pay for Tabernacle and we can still attack first. Okay, ooh.
Okay, I'm not sure. Gamble can do, well, a number of different things here that would be unpleasant.
It certainly wasn't Bojuka Bog that they gambled for.
Yeah, well, we knew the Bojuka Bog was already there because it got pitched to the Mox Diamond on turn 1. So, but yeah, we would know anyway. So, Punishing Fire on one of the Heritage Druids.
Just get it back.
Yeah.
Easy. I think you might even want to do that on the upkeep, because actually, no, that gives them more mana of the Cradle, but that doesn't matter. At least that eats the silver, the Violet Symbiote activation for her. But anyway, it happened this way. So now we can pay. There's even a word where you bounce the Druid. It's complicated. So now we can attack for 5, 10, 11. That's not great. But at least the opponent also basically missed a land drop by playing the Tabernacle.
Right. Okay. So we're going to just use the Cradle here to pay for everything, which is convenient the way that works out. So best draw now is probably another Cradle.
Yeah, Cradle, I think Natural Order does it. We're playing 4 copies. Even like something like Glimpse is going to be like really great here. So there's a couple of things that we can do. That's not it.
Yeah.
We can still attack for, like I said, 11. I guess you could play it like this, 1, 2, 3. No. I guess at this point, I'd actually rather draw an extra card and then try to kill them next turn or something.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, so I was thinking also we want to make. Yeah, we'll just make mana. Reset the vision. I'm surprised we didn't fetch first, as we already, or else actually do this before playing a land would have made sense also.
So this is the card that we would have on top. Okay, so we run this one out and then we kill them. 1, 2, 3, 4. Fetch Dried Arbor. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 11 and 7 and 7. Yeah, we got this. This one does it.
Okay, so for people in chat who cannot instantaneously count elf damage like Julian can, and I also cannot, so let's go count this through. So we're generating 4 mana, natural ordering. So we did not go for the Dried Arbor, which
that should still be good enough. That's like 18 plus 25.
Okay, so
that's good enough.
So this is like, I mean, I did a lot of tutoring years in the past for kids in math. And when you have 2 kids at the same time, like one is, if you have an 8-year-old with like a 14-year-old sibling and they're sitting next to each other doing their homework, that's like what this is with you and me. Whereas I'm trying to count on my fingers, like how much damage is this? And you're like, obviously it's exactly this much. I didn't have to think about it. My internal calculator just processed it. and me, the younger kid, just trying to keep up. Anyway, so we see the Elves sideboard sideboard availability here. Like you said, not the greatest sideboard for lands matchup, perhaps, but we are up a game, and we are a very explosive deck.
Yeah. So there's, like I said, there's two ways to approach the matchup. The one way is to really just go in there and try to kill them as fast as possible because you know you're going to get outgrinded. The other one is to bring in your Leylines of the Void so you can shut off their Punching Fire engine, their Loam engine. Then you're still a little bit in trouble because you can't really interact with the token, the 2020, very much. I guess you can jump block it for a turn with Archon of Vader's Reach. The Abrupt Decays, sometimes you bring them in, sometimes you don't if you go for an approach like that. Like, the only thing they can really do is to hit the Sphere of Resistance, which in my experience, like, not rarely hurts the lands player just as much because they're spending an entire turn getting the Sphere out, and then their Loams are going to be like 3 mana, their Punching Fires are basically going to be 4 mana because you got to recur them. So I'm not too big of a fan of Abrupt Decay. Sometimes you hit like a critical Exploration, but that's already like in their favor, that kind of trait. So if I bring something in, it's usually going to be Leyline. It's somewhat unfortunate that we don't have Progenitors because that's just like such a strong plan because they can't really do much about it, especially if they don't have Glacial Chasm. You can bring in Archon and name either Sorcery or Instant, depending on how the game goes. I don't hate it. I also don't love it.
Let's go ahead and look at let's go ahead and look at the land sideboard so we have an idea of what we're comparing ourselves to again before the match starts. So we have Chokes, Sphere of Resistance, Force of Vigor, a second copy of Punching Fire, some blasts which are worthless, and some bolts. So I expect we'll see bolts, Punching Fire at the minimum, and like you're saying, like Sphere of Resistance maybe, but doesn't seem great. Okay, so it looks like they're ready to go.
Yeah, Sphere is much better on the play. Like, if you can get it out on the play on turn 1, it's gonna slow Elves down immensely, and that's very much in favor of the land stack. But if you only get it down like on turn 2, sometimes that's not a great opening. That's actually a horrible opening. They kept 7 though, so they must have. So I would think they have blocked Mox Diamond, but for some reason didn't play it yet, which I can respect. The Elves. So basically, with this hand, I'm looking to turn the fetch land into a Dryad Arbor, so my Quirion Ranger and my Wirewood Symbiote can like start making mana under a Glimpse. So I would probably like try to get out the Wirewood Symbiote first, then the Quirion Ranger on the next turn, and have the Foothills ready to kill them on turn 3. It's gonna be harder against Wasteland, but I would expect the opponent to tap their Wasteland. I actually wouldn't be surprised if they played Sphere of Resistance, Sometimes.
That would make sense based on the very slow start. Okay, Exploration. So it's unlikely we... Whoa. I was going to say, it's unlikely we kept a hand that didn't have green mana. But if we had Wasteland and Tabernacle, actually, it's possible we did.
Well, I guess there's that one of those cards must have been drawn for the first draw step on turn 2.
Yeah.
To make it play out like that. It's a bit unfortunate that we sided out a Heritage Druid. I'd rather side out like a Shepherd. Heritage Druid would be much better here. Of course, we don't know whether this would have been the exact slot. But right now, we are just building up. And I think I'm going to... this is the Ranger, I would think. Or maybe the opponent is really just... the Elves player is really just on a beatdown plan. Like, just get everything out and keep attacking for like 2, for 3, for 4, for 5, and eventually I'm going to get there. There's a world where that can work. And then you have the Glints as a backup as soon as you draw a Cradle.
All right, so let's see here what lands has going on. I actually... Yeah, the more I think about this, the more I feel like it's possible that the lands kept a hand with no green mana and drew the fetch land on turn 2. That would explain kind of this weird development. Okay, there's... Yeah, so, wow.
Okay.
That's...
Yeah, at this point, we need to draw Birchlaw Rangers. Birchlaw Rangers is the only thing that can help us here win the game, because we got to win the game on this turn, right?
Yeah.
So we pay for both. I guess we could even let the Symbiote die. If we let the Symbiote die, then we might have one more out. But it's close. So we didn't. So from here, there's literally no way we can win.
Yeah, there's just nothing. There's only one more mana available. That's really not going to do anything.
So this is an interesting play that you can do in like close deck lists where you're like, okay, opponent, make the token, and then they don't do it. I mean, you're going to lose either way, but if you had something like Caracas in your deck, then you attack there, and you hope that the opponent makes the token to get basically the free block. Yeah. And then post-combat, you have the Caracas or the crop rotation to Caracas or something. I guess crop rotation to Caracas wouldn't really matter anyway, because you could do that in their turn. But yeah, there's situations where you bait the token and then you punish the token, but in open deck lists, that's not something you can do.
Something that just came up recently for me in Goblins, as Merit Lage is tough to deal with, especially out of Hexmage depths. Someone recommended playing some of the green cyborg cards, or some of the green cards that make a player sacrifice a flyer, which would also be an option that Elves could have if Merit Lage was a consistent problem for you, which I'm not sure that it is.
It is. That's actually why we like the... there was an elf riding on a Fox printed recently, and I can't remember which one it is. It has reach, and it also grows as...
Wildborn Preserver.
Exactly that one. Yeah. And that one, you can block the token and bounce it back to your hand so you don't suffer any damage. And sometimes you can randomly blow out your opponent by attacking. They don't block. You fetch Dryad Arbor, which triggers it, and then you pump like your entire cradle into it.
That's really cool. Yeah, I really enjoyed. I played with that card in Standard a fair amount in the last few months, and I really enjoyed it. The fact that it has... I actually discovered it had reach, because I had it I cast it, and the next turn my opponent didn't attack with the flyer, and I couldn't figure out why. And I asked my friend, I'm like, do you understand what's going on here? And they're like, they didn't want to have their guy killed. And I was like, oh, yeah, okay. And yeah, I mean that's just me being stupid, but I thought it was an amusing story. Okay, so we're starting off here. Fetch Forest into Quirion Ranger and Visionary Heritage, Birch Lore, Wirewood. I mean, you don't have one of the super payoff cards, but I don't think you're too disappointed with this hand, are you?
Yeah. I'd love to have Nettle Sentinel in this hand just to accelerate it out even more and use the engine a lot more. Something we can also do on the next turn, if they go for an exploration and we got nothing else going on, then we can just get out the Bachelor Rangers and kill the exploration. Or even the Mox Diamond, but that's not happening now. But that's okay, actually. We pay, and then we replay the land. Then we get the Bachelor Rangers down, and that allows us to cast the Heritage to it, and then we can pay for everything. It's still awkward. It's really awkward, because if the opponent kills our Heritage to it next turn, it's not going to be great. Either way, it's not going to be great. It's going to depend a lot on what else the Lens player brought to the table. If the Lens player doesn't have anything else that's good, we can find our way out of this. Mm-hmm. But if they do, we're in trouble. I'm not even sure if you want to attack there, because if you attack... Actually, it's a free attack anyway, because you're untapping it to bounce the land.
Okay, so we see, yeah. Well, wait, so we didn't use that for anything, but that's okay. No huge loss there. So yeah, Birch Lore into, well, did we give up? No, I feel like we did give up something there.
We gave up 1 point of damage, pretty much.
Yeah. I guess we couldn't have used it for another mana, because there's no way to have the, tap it for the Birch Lore before using the Quirion Ranger, because that wouldn't be possible. Okay, so here we are. Now we can tap all our creatures to pay for the Tabernacle next turn, and then see what we can come up with.
So I think next turn, we gotta do it this way. We tap everything for Heritage to it, and then we have like 2 1/3 mana or a half mana available, depending on which one we're gonna use. So we really gotta find, like, even a normal land would allow us to develop eventually. Oh, that's tough. Now we're going to lose one of our creatures, for sure.
Yeah. This is brutal. Yeah, I mean, having Tabernacle again early, and then the Bolt to knock down Quirion Rangers also could have killed, to knock out Birch Lore Rangers, and... Yeah. Oof. This already feels close to... I mean, I don't know the deck like you do, but...
Yeah. So next turn, we're going to lose our Heritage to it, and we're going to pay for our Quirion Ranger. And then there's, like, we really hope that we draw an actual land next turn so we can develop our mana. Because if you have to bounce and replay the land to get Wirewood Symbiote down, that's not even something we want to do, because then we got to bounce our Quirion Ranger, and then we're not going to have any mana on the following turn. Mm-hmm. So unless we actually draw a land here that we can play, we're not even doing anything. I guess we get to attack for 1.
Mm-hmm. So from the land's perspective here, we have an excellent start, Tabernacle and a Bolt. It's really great. Okay. And we can kind of just, at this point, we can look for ways to further disrupt the Elf deck. We don't even have to focus on trying to win right away, as we're doing such a good job of slowing them down. Any sort of fault. Potentially even could be a hand you would keep without having access to a loam. because we have so much else going on.
Yeah, that's actually something they recently did. They included bolts to be a little bit more like have a bit of a better tempo game early on. Mm-hmm. Oh, by the way, I think I wouldn't have actually played the Biobot Symbiote because now you got a double pay on the next turn, which means you're only going to have 1 mana available. Whereas if you don't play the Biobot Symbiote, then you use your PAYOUT to tap for the Quirion Ranger. And then on your main phase, you can still replay the PAYOUT. You have 2 mana available and play the Visionary, which, like, that's probably where I want to be. Like, the best case scenario, of course, is that we draw the Cradle. And by playing the Symbiote, we maximize the value that we can get of Cradle then next turn. And maybe that's just what we're doing here. All right, but yeah, so it's going to depend a lot on which kind of hand Land's kept. If the hand of Land's is going to be slow and really sluggish and got nothing going on, then I can see us eventually drawing out of this, but it's going to be hard. It's going to be really hard. I don't like seeing that.
Okay, so there's a stage. So that definitely, obviously, we're halfway towards the Merit Lage Avatar of Death token. And, I mean, it's not shocking to see Land. I mean, Lands could very well have kept a hand purely based off the fact of having Tabernacle Bolt and be slow drawing into the rest of it.
So yeah, this is going to be a big draw. Okay. Not thrilled. Not thrilled. Yeah, at this point, we're really just like left attacking for 2 again and passing the turn. I guess we could play the Heritage Ship, but that doesn't do anything.
Hey, well, at least we're ahead on life total now. I mean, making a little bit of progress.
You know, sometimes it's a thing. If you can go to 21, if they have like the Tabernacle and you have Ooze, and you can go to 21, that's a thing. But this list doesn't have Ooze, and it's already going to be hard to make that work anyway. So yeah, now we're going to untap. We're going to replay this. But like I said, like playing the Heritage Route just makes it so that we have to bounce it at the opponent's turn.
Yeah, or we bounce that, or maybe is it possible we leave that and play and bounce the Quirion Ranger? I guess it's not significantly different.
The big difference is if you bounce the Quirion Ranger and then you don't draw a land, then you don't have your 3rd mana for the turn, because then you can't bounce the land.
Right, because then you can't. Yeah, okay.
So the only thing I could see is like the opponent actually letting the Symbiote die. Like that's the only other option that we have. You let the Symbiote die, and then you hope to draw a 1 mana elf, ideally Nettle Sentinel, and then you play that. Then you have 3 mana. You play the Visionary. The Visionary got to find another Nettle Sentinel. Then you play the 2nd Visionary. You got 1 floating into 4 into Natural Order. So yeah, that's basically what we would be trying to do.
That's exactly what I was thinking, surprisingly enough. Yeah, so Abrupt Gate takes down the Symbiote. And now we have the 2 creatures in play. Well, again, and yeah, so lands kept a hand, Tabernacle, removal spells, and it seems to be more than sufficient.
Yeah, it's one thing why we sometimes play Assassin's Trophy. Usually we don't do that, but Tabernacle is one of those cards that make, like, for those, Assassin's Trophy makes a world of difference. Mm-hmm. But of course, we don't have that here because it's like a rather uncommon choice for elves. Okay, can we draw? Okay, land. Land is okay. Land allows us to cast Visionary next turn. Mm-hmm. And from there, there's actually like a scenario where we win. It's still going to be rough. Lands isn't doing too much, though. They actually didn't play a land last turn, did they?
Right. They didn't do anything. They had the end of turn Abrupt Decay, untap, pass.
So they must have another Abrupt Decay.
Maybe.
I would think. I mean, there's almost nothing they would play. Like, they would have done almost anything else they could have in that deck.
Yeah. I mean, I guess there's a question of, obviously they have 4 non-lands in their hand, and there's not that many cards. I mean, if there's no Life in the Loam, there's no Exploration. There's really not much left. Yeah, there's not much left besides removal.
Oh, okay, this one. That one works too. I guess that gets Blast Zone.
Gets Dark Depths.
Okay. Oh, do they have Ancient Tomb in the deck? If they have Ancient Tomb, they can make the token here. They might have Ancient Tomb.
That would be very cool.
It is.
They do. Wow.
Oh, God. Oh, dude.
So it's starting to look like, okay, maybe there may be some choices that or questionable could lead to Elves having a window. But actually what it led to was Elves instantly dying. So no, the Lands player was not clueless on what they're doing. They were just setting up their immediate win, and Merit Lage does its thing to finish off the Elf deck. So Lance takes that one down, and you speculated that this was a rough matchup for Elves. This is not what you want to be playing against. And we saw that.
Yeah.
Yeah, despite taking one game very, very nicely with the Allosaurus Shepherd, the new card, playing a role, as there were actually 2 after the mulligan in the opening hand, but not able to finish it out. Elves takes it down. We'll wait up a second to see if we have a backup match for you this round. I wouldn't be surprised, since that felt like it was fairly quick. Sounds like they're working on it. In the meantime, Julian Knab joining us. Thanks for being here. What is now? You're more, you're not as restricted in your movements as we're in America right now. I think you're a little freer in Germany. Is there any paper magic at all going on in Germany right now, or is that pretty much curtains?
Yeah.
Oh,
it resumed, like, I would say 3 weeks ago or something, like small local tournaments that have like 20 people, and I've seen that. I haven't gone to any of those events yet, but they basically put 2 tables in front of each other, so you're playing across like almost 2 tables, so you're sitting away like 2 meters. I don't know how many, like 10 Fahrenheit, I don't know, like pretty far away. And those we have again. We also do like our local Tuesday night meets at the bar again, so that's happening. Even though, like, right now, the people are talking about, like, the second wave, right? So maybe that's going to be a thing that's going to be a little bit restricted more. But, yeah, people are desperate to play Paper Magic again. I don't even know when I played Paper Magic the last time. Might have actually been, like, GP Bologna last year or something.
Oh, wow. Yeah, for me, the last time I played, I think it was in February. But, yeah, that's even further for you. But, yeah, so you're a little, like, here, at least, we don't have too much going on. Like, Nerd Rage is nowhere near reopening for Paper Magic, and I think it's the same in a lot of the country. But you guys are, you got hit earlier than we did when this first came up, but you actually seem like you're pulling out of it maybe a little smoother than we are. We probably all know the reasons why that's happening, but no need to speculate. It sounds like we're not going to have a backup feature this round. So we'll go ahead and show you guys what the players are playing for today. First place, $500. Nice use of your Sunday. $250 for second, $175 for top 4, and 5th through 8th finishing up with $100. There was a question in the chat after I made the announcement at the beginning of this round. The invites into the arena qualifier weekend are starting with the actual NRG Series, which begins again next month. So the players today are not getting that qualification. That's something that's lined up for the future. But still, this is a good event. We're happy with it. We've got Card Hoarder and KMC helping support us, and we're glad that you are here to join us and watch, because that also helps support our show and what we're like to put on. And as we were just discussing, Paper Magic seems, we haven't had it in a while, and I don't speak for Nerd Rage or Wizards, but I do not think we'll have Paper Magic in America back anytime soon, at least in a large scale. Like you were saying, 20-person events, maybe some F&Ms will start, maybe some local stores will start events. Maybe some probably already have. But as far as big events that you drive a couple hours to or fly to, and there's a big accumulation of people, that's not something that we see happening anytime soon. So this is something we put together, the NRG Series, that we're excited about in the interim, and we hope it's something that can take your mind off the fact that you can't use your Sunday to go play Magic somewhere else.
Yeah, there's a lot of desire in the community to get that, like if it's Legacy, if it's Modern, if any kind of format, to get their fix to both play. But not everybody has a Magic Online account, right? And people, at least, most people really enjoy it, like especially on like a Sunday evening, afternoon, where you sit down, you do your work for the week, and then you just want to see your favorite format brought to you. And that's why it's so amazing that you guys are actually putting forward the series, which is like not only going to be a one-time event, but you're actually going to have that. I think you said, was it September or something?
September 13th is the next event, the first event of the actual series, and it is Legacy. The series is not all Legacy. The series is going to be moving through different formats, but the first event is going to be Legacy. And it sounds like we actually found a match, so MaxCon roped some players into playing for us, apparently. Game 3, Carolyn Kavanagh playing with Goblins against Alex playing Mono Black, and it looks like we are... Looks like, whoa, okay. So,
dude.
This is rough.
It's going to be rough.
Yeah. Muxus can survive. We do have Violon 6.
So I want to see this, because like Live Top Love only 4 against the Muxus. I mean, there's ways to make this work. They probably don't have a way to get rid of the engineered plagues there. But if the Muxus...
Maybe if we can Muxus into Trashmaster, that would allow the War Chief to actually survive. So as it stands, the Muxus will be able to attack for 2. And I think, I mean, without having seen the deck list, I'm going to guess that Trashmaster is the only goblin in the deck that can actually survive.
Oh, that's
Liliana's Triumph. Okay.
I guess at this point, I guess you could have wild in the munitions expert. I guess you can still do that to take out the Bloodgast. Oh no, it doesn't even because it's 0 goblins. No. Would have worked. Yeah.
Oh, we actually could find. You're right. That could have happened. We could find Slinging, which there's a point. Or no, I'm sorry. That one you can't even sacrifice it. So what we need is that's not gonna. Sorry, I'm trying to think of how this could happen here. It's too bad the Caracas was tapped when that Muxus came in. And that's the end of it. So unfortunately for Carolyn,
it's already
unable to beat the double engineer plague, which, I mean, nothing to feel bad about there, as double engineer plague is I mean, at least if it's plague engineer, you can kill it, even if it's difficult. But engineer plague is not something I've actually had to face with goblins yet, but I certainly don't look forward to the experience.
Well, is this what we do on the stream? We just watch tribal decks getting destroyed? I mean, who's next? Merfolk?
There is a Merfolk deck in the field, I heard. So maybe so. But yeah. Sure, let's go ahead and look at the deck that we just
actually
saw.
Pretty good right now.
We had Carolyn Kavanagh with red-black goblins, which now I would say out of the different goblin builds, this is the most stock build at the moment, is having Slinging Lieutenants on the splash alongside munitions experts. But let's see what we actually have here. We have 2 prospectors. We have a Pyrokinesis main deck, so that seems to be pretty common among all the different builds we've seen. We have a Chain Whirler. So that's actually, so what's another creature that could survive with 2 plays on the board is Chain Whirler. And then
that's pretty much it, though. So I don't even see any, like you mentioned, the Thrashmaster helps to stay alive and maybe put something together.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is pretty much the most stock standard list the Goblins is playing right now.
2 pile drivers
this is the one.
Yeah. There's a few deviations of what I would think of as stock, but I don't even know if it's Goblins season enough play to actually have something considered to be stock. But yeah, there's a Trashmaster in the board, and there's of course no enchantment removal, because how could there be? Noble effort by the Goblin deck to take that one down, losing to Mono Black. So let's look at this Mono Black deck, which is actually a Pox deck. I think there is Smallpox there.
This is one of the last few Lilianas left in the mat. Spinning Darkness.
Wow, that's a card that I certainly have not seen in ages.
The card used to be bugged on Magic Online, but I guess it works again now.
If you're unfamiliar with Spinning Darkness, I would not blame you. It's a Lightning Helix that you can pitch cast. Or maybe we can pop that out so that
I think it removes like the top 3 cards from your graveyard, right?
Yeah,
that's a special thing about it.
Shoot a non-black creature for 3, gain 3 life. Remove the top 3 black cards in your graveyard from the game instead of paying casting costs. So that's not something you see every day. And probably also something Carolyn wasn't planning on playing against, I would think. Wow, look at this interest. Hey, so I think it was said in jest earlier in the chat against the Doomsday deck to play Ashiok. There are 2 Ashioks in the sideboard here.
Are those 2 copies of, I think it's called Dystopia? This is like such a blast from the past. 2 changes from Philosopherus to Dystopia, like all this Spinning Darkness. Do we know whether this player is sitting at 4-0 now?
Yeah,
after winning.
We'll find out what they're. Okay, there's 3-1.
Okay.
Yeah, still not bad. Can we bring up Dystopia? Because I bet 90% of the players don't know what this does. In fact, a lot of the players don't even know what cumulative upkeep is. But cumulative upkeep, pay 1 life. So you pay 1 life, then you play 2. And it gets more each turn. I guess they've seen Glacial Chasm, so they have some idea. At the beginning of each player's upkeep, that player sacrifices a white or green permanent. So this is maybe a slow grind, but certainly not the style of sideboard card we see anymore.
It gets rid of Planeswalkers. Like it gets rid of Oko, it gets rid of Teferi. That's actually so cool.
Yeah, it would be Nuts against the Esper Vile deck. There's all kinds of creatures for that deck to lose. So
I guess the life loss eventually adds up, but that's what you're in for when you're playing this kind of deck.
Right. And plus, then you have Spinning Darkness to gain the life back. No problem. And there's actually, I didn't notice this initially on looking at the deck, there's actually 3 Lingering Souls in this deck also, which I believe can only be cast on the flashback from the graveyard.
Is there no way to generate white mana?
I don't see one.
Is there any way? I guess you can discard them to Liliana and flashback.
Right.
Yeah, I'm just trying to see the synergy.
And Smallpox. That looks like it. That's interesting. I'm surprised with how many swamp. I guess there's only 8 swamp. I was going to say there should be some fetch lands and maybe a scrub land, because, I mean, if there are any scrub lands in existence anymore, because that card doesn't get used, but there aren't really enough swamps to do that. That's interesting.
Yeah, so, I wouldn't hate it if you had fetch lands. Then you could also like trigger your Bloodghasts more often.
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah, this is pretty straightforward. This is also like one of the cheaper mana bases then, and I guess that's part of the appeal of something like this.
Sure.
And you're also not opening up yourself to Stifle, which is seeing a lot more play in Legacy right now.
Right.
But yeah, I love this deck. I think there's a lot of people in chat as well who would like love to play this kind of deck. This feels very much like what people would describe as like old school Magic, I guess, even though it plays Planeswalkers. Mm-hmm. But I mean, there's a dedicated Pox
This is as old school as it gets. There's Mishra's Factories in this deck. There's Dystopia, Spinning Darkness. Yeah, this deck is like super old school plus Ashiok. This is wild. Anyway, okay, so this deck is 3-1, which means Carolyn Kavanagh falls to 2-2 with the Red-Black Goblins. And we did get, a brief part of a second match there for you guys this round. And I think that probably brings us towards the tail end of round 4. So we'll probably step away for a couple minutes and get round 5 rolling. So thanks for being with us here today, and we'll see you back in just a